about odes, since those are the poems that are coming up. Odes are a subset of lyric poem. They're still a lyric poem, just like sonnets are also lyric poems. According to the Poetry Foundation, odes are a often formal, ceremonious lyric poem that addresses and celebrates a person, place, thing, or idea, and its form can vary. There are like three different types of ode, but you don't need to know what they are. You just need to know that odes can have stanzas that vary in meter and rhyme scheme from each other. And romantic odes can be more private, more meditative, more intimate than like a formal poem that celebrates an athlete winning a prize, which is like what a Pindaric ode is usually like. But they still usually focus on a concept or a thing, like the west wind, as we will see for Wednesday, or a Grecian urn, as we will see for Friday. These are, or these poems are organized around very specific things that they're describing. Although we have moved away a little bit from that like description of the landscape in Tintern Abbey. The Romantic poets sorry, wrote a lot of odes, and all of like what we would normally refer to as the major Romantic poets, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, all of them wrote odes. Wordsworth wrote Ode Intimations of Immortality. Coleridge writes an ode about dejection, which is basically like depression. Um, Shelley writes West Wind. Keats writes 5 major odes, which are some of the most important poems in the English language, and certainly some of the most important poems for the Romantic movement. We're going to read Grecian Urn, and we'll talk about whether we'll end up doing Nightingale or not. Like, we'll see. These are beautiful poems. But so it's a very popular form. I'm sorry, that noise was my dog making a lot of weird noises. Yes, I apologize for the repeated weird noises that my dog is going to be making, but I'm almost done. So, what's the difference? Like, why are some things odes? Why are other things the greater romantic lyric? Many romantic odes will follow the structure of the greater romantic lyric, even if they don't have all of the specific elements. Like, the speaker in Grecian Urn is not very determinate. But the stages, right, of description, mental process, insight, return to the beginning, we will see those stages. So as you read Shelley's ode and Keats's ode, notice if they follow this pattern that we see like in Tintern Abbey and Frost at Midnight. So why do we have all these terms? Well, odes do have a more formal structure than a lot of greater romantic lyric poems. Like if you go, let's look at a page from Tintern Abbey and you look at a page of Grecian Urn, the stanzas are all the same lines. It has more regular meter. It's, it's just more formal. So not all greater romantic lyric poems are odes, and not all romantic conversation poems are odes as well. The name of the poem, like whether it's a greater romantic lyric or an ode or a romantic conversation poem, it's not as important to try and keep these three things separate as it is to just recognize when a poet is going through these 4 stages: description, like mental processes, insight, and return to the beginning moment, but with greater awareness and understanding. That's the most important thing, is to just recognize that pattern and that it's happening. Also, usually if it's an ode, it's just going to look more formal than a greater romantic lyric. And hey, notice it often says ode in the title. So, but the key thing is to not focus on the name so much as to focus on the way the poem unfolds. Hopefully this helps a little bit for Ode to the West Wind, an ode on a Grecian urn.